This lesson takes a look at the Java keywords for looping. Looping is simply executing the same block of code repeatedly until some condition is met. Every loop is made up of four things. Initial values are set, a condition is checked to see if the looping is done, an adjustment of some sort is made before the loop starts over from the top, and every loop has a body of executable statements that are to be repeated once for each loop. Java has three different forms of loops. The while loop has its test at the top of the loop. That is, a Boolean expression is evaluated, and if that expression results in true, the body of the loop then is executed once. Once the body has finished executing, the same test is made again. The loop will continue to execute over and over again as long as the expression remains true. In this example, the index value was preset to 0 before the loop began. As long as the value of the index is less than the count of the number of arguments in the arg array, the body of the loop is executed. Inside the loop body, the command line argument at the current index is displayed, and the index value is bumped up by 1. Notice how the value of index is tested. It begins at 0, which is the index to the first member of the arg array, and the loop will continue to execute as long as index is less than the number of members in the array. That means, for example, if there are 5 members of the array, the maximum index value in the loop will be at 4, which is correct. The maximum valid index for an array is 1 less than the number of members of the array. The do-while statement is very similar to the while statement, except the test is made at the bottom of the loop instead of the top. This means that the do-while loop will always be executed at least once, even if the Boolean expression would evaluate to false. That means that this program has a bug. The body of this loop will attempt to display one command line argument even when there are none. Notice how the index value uses the pre-increment. 1 is added to the index value before it is tested against the number of members of the array. The for loop is the most common form of looping in Java. As you can see, the for statement itself is divided into 3 parts, separated by semicolons. The first part is used to set any initial values. It's normally a single counter like this, but you can actually put several statements here by separating them with commas. This is the test to determine whether to loop. The test is always made at the top of the loop, so it's possible if the first time through the Boolean expression results in false, the body of a for statement will never execute. Here's the third part, which is the adjustment to be made before the next loop begins. In a for loop, this adjustment statement is always executed at the bottom of the loop, just before coming back to the top to perform the test again. You can actually put as many adjustment statements as you like in here by separating them with commas. This is the body of the loop. In this case, it's a single statement, so it doesn't strictly have to be enclosed in braces here and here. But I have found that by always putting braces around the bodies of for loops, the code is easier to read. It's up to you. As you can see, each loop in this program prints all of the command line entries. Generally speaking, the command line entries are separated by spaces. This is actually a part of Java that's not entirely portable because each operating system analyzes and modifies the command line entries in a different way. As far as Java is concerned, the entries on the command line are separated by spaces. But some operating systems process wildcards and such to make modifications to the command line before Java ever sees it. Remember, I said that this program had a bug? Let me show you what happens when this program is run without any command line arguments. Here, the do loop tried to execute once and access the first member of the array. Because there are no command line arguments, the array had no members, so the subscript value was beyond the range of the array. An error message was printed and the program was halted. Java was also able to print the exact line number in the source code on which the error occurred. This is a very handy piece of information when you put some sort of surprise for yourself in one of your programs.